Hello, Enchantress. So I am here because I'm talking about being seen and the importance of it. So I was going to do a SoundCloud for this because I have a lot of audio classes and recordings and messages and teachings there. But because we're talking about being seen, here I am. So this is a huge curve, especially for women, um, to learn how to self-accept and self-love. Underneath being seen is validation, is curiosity, is compassion, is self-honoring. And, I can appear like an extrovert, and I have a huge part of me that's hiding. And if you listen to the SoundClouds that I record, a lot of them are about hiding. And it is a sort of superpower. But what I'm here to talk about today is the importance of being seen. Yay! Welcome, Enchanted One. How comfortable are you in being seen? In a mirror? In a conversation? Are you comfortable being seen on a date? Are you comfortable when your emotions are high? Do you leave the house? When you're in a romantic relationship, are you comfortable saying exactly what you want? When you're intimate with someone, whether it's sexual or not, are you comfortable speaking up for yourself? These are all different versions of where you show up to be seen. And I hear myself speaking with so much energy because I'm excited about this. And my hope is that my point gets across. So I, as a child, loved to be seen. I wanted pictures taken of me. I'm a Leo. I love to shine like the sun. But there became a time when I was about 12 and 13. Ooh, I'm going to try to pull up a picture of that. And let's see. So here I am at 12. And you can see my face. I thought I was sharing my screen. I guess I'm not. Well, so the importance of me showing, here I am, sharing my screen. The importance of me sharing this. Oh, here we go. Is because here's a very sad, upset, hurt, and angry young girl. And I'm going to keep this up so you can continue seeing it, which I think you are. And she's really afraid. And if you look at my eyes, so wanting to hide, so afraid of the world, so misunderstood, not heard, huge. I mean, this was the style of hair, but I took it to a level of like, don't fuck with me. But really, I was so hurting inside. I was mean to myself. I was angry. I didn't understand why I was always being so hard on myself. I didn't even realize I was being hard on myself. I was just being. And now I love watching myself on video. That doesn't mean that I'm not having little sparks of criticism to myself. But the truth is, being seen is not just a physical thing. It's also being heard, being understood, being appreciated and acknowledged. And so if you're a woman of the world, I truly believe that you have a business or a creative offering to the world. And in order for you to bring that to the table, which is so healing, self-expression is a big deal. It's about healing, and it's about sharing your gifts. If you don't share your gifts, it's a disservice. And there was a woman that I interviewed on my radio show long ago, and she just recently passed away. Her name was Donna Williams. She was an artist. And she said, I used to be really afraid to show my paintings because she was afraid what people would say about her, what they would say about her paintings. And then she got to a certain age, and this is interesting because she just recently passed away. She said, I got to a certain age and I started to be afraid that I would never get a chance to show my artwork, that I would never be here in order to feel the appreciation and to see what happens. So there is a risk in being seen, and that is being rejected and being not liked. And as human beings, we want to be liked. But if that's the only mission that you're on, is to be liked, it's a very sad and small life. It's the risk takers that get to play a big life, that get to have a big game. There are always going to be people that don't like you. Fuck them. So it's easy to say that because I have a lot of people that like me. If you've been in hiding for a long time and then you're afraid to be seen, whether it's your business or your art or your words or your feelings, it's not so easy to say fuck them. And I get trapped up in that a little bit. But the women that I work with, this is something we work on. And it starts very slow, just with being seen by me. So me hearing the wishes, desires is so important. Now, all this came to my mind as I started my theater training, but I remembered when I was it was 6th grade, and we were told to write stories. It was like story writing. So you could write about any point in your life. And then when you had a story to share, you'd put it up on the blackboard and you'd put your name. And then when it was story sharing time, you knew what order you went in. Well, my name was up there 3 or 4 times. I was like, I have a lot to share. And then you'd get feedback from the teacher, basically how to fix it, whatever. But anyway, how to fix it. So I would go up and I had so much to say. And I remember thinking, because this is before I was 12, this is before that picture. Wow, I'm going up a lot. And I wonder if people are bored. But it didn't really have an impact on me. In the 6th grade, I was still like taking risks. I was wearing cool clothes. I was not dressing as everybody dressed. I was liking different music than everybody else. And I was still having friends. As soon as I hit junior high school, and as soon as I hit puberty, it was a mess. That was that picture. I wanted to hide. I didn't want to be seen by anybody. Nobody understood me. I didn't like to be told what to do. I wanted to be a cool kid, and all the cool kids were Italian, and they had Italian last names, and I was a Jewish kid. And the girls were tough. When I went to school, the girls were tough, and they were fighting, and I was afraid. I didn't want to fight with anybody. I didn't want to get beat up. And so I lived every day not wanting to fight, but wanting the credibility to be tough. So I would smoke cigarettes in the bathroom. I started to wear red lipstick. I started to make my hair really big. And in the meantime, I was in a gifted Astor program. So I was like a dork and a nerd, and I still am inside. But fast forward, seeing that detriment, that anger, that pain that I was in, I truly believe if I hadn't found acting or learned how to be in my body with those feelings, they would have just stayed in my head. Now, that might sound very advanced if this is the first thing you're listening to or watching, but basically, we can live in our heads. To live in your head is just to constantly think, to process, to celebrate, to brag, to be upset, to be angry. Everything happens in the head. Most of the world lives here. Some people live in the heart, and those are the women and the men that are like givers, loving, giving. Then there's the rest of the world. There are very few, or maybe many, but not a huge amount, that live fully embodied in your pussy, in your cock, in your legs, in your voice, in your head, in your heart, all at once. Now, it's not all the time, all at once, but it's basically learning how to express your emotion in your body. And to give you a very clear example, think of a child who is just walking down the street and all of a sudden they start to skip. That's embodiment. Think of a child who is upset about something and throws their body on the floor and has a wicked tantrum. That's embodiment. As we get older, we start to shut down because people get worried about, I used to get worried tremendously about what people thought of me. Now I can recognize that and let it go, or take myself through a process to let it go through my body. And so sometimes it looks like a tantrum. Sometimes it is dance, it is movement. Now, not only am I doing these dance movement things, tantruming, I am being witnessed by other people, other women, and on stage in theater by other people. Being that fully seen in all these emotions is what makes me beautiful. And not just my outside. It makes me beautiful from my heart. It shines my heart. So in that picture, it's a very angry young woman, right? Scared, angry, afraid. When I first started going to my acting class, we did this exercise called, it was called something, but we did this exercise where we had to unleash our anger and say, fuck you. Well, I'm from Brooklyn, and fuck you is like no big deal. Still isn't to me. I hope I'm not offending anybody. But basically, we had to scream and yell and really get in touch with our anger. I hadn't done this in years because I was like, okay, that part of me's done. I'm in my 30s. I'm evolved. I'm educated. I have my own business. Everything's fine. And then my teacher says, okay, we're going to connect with anger. And I was like, I was already pissed. I just was like, whatever. And I was guided into a space, into a headspace where I would begin to unleash my anger. And I really went for it. And eventually I went really big with it. And it wasn't always screaming and yelling. Sometimes it was like a, fuck you. You know, it was that kind. And people were riveted. They were like, wow, your anger is amazing. And I was like, fuck you. You know, it would get me angry. But what started happening once I started getting compliments on my anger and I got over the angry about my anger part, I realized how unique my anger is. And letting other people see it meant I actually released it. I released the shame of being angry. Now, as women who have a lot of connection to the universe, the vibration and the energy of the universe is a fucking mess. And so you might be feeling that rage, that anger, that angst in your body just because of the energy in the world. And so by suppressing it, by not being seen in that anger, you're suppressing it. It's landing in your neck. It's landing in your back. It's making wrinkles on your face. And so in order to release these emotions, the sadness, the fear, the anxiety, the anger, you need to find a place to channel it. And when I say channel, I don't mean hippy dippy do. I mean like finding a place. So maybe you're writing an angry poem. Maybe you're making an angry video and you're watching yourself. That would be like the smallest way to play. Maybe you're going to an acting class. Maybe you're working with me because that's what we do. And so some women are not ready to go right into this. And I'm not a pushy, is that true? Well, I don't intend to be pushy, but I'm here to support whoever I work with to move forward. But not everybody's ready to go right into rage. And so to just play with your own emotions at this point, you know, if you're just listening to this for the first time and you're curious, I would invite you to find music that brings up rage for you. And Rage Against the Machine is great. The band Tool is great. Um, any kind of death metal, like raw, any kind of angry music. And what that does is, for me, it charges up my heart, you know? And so getting into your body is a practice, because we don't live in our bodies most of the time. We're always thinking and second guessing and self-doubting. When you put on this music, walk around the room, pick up your knees if you can, clench your fists, and start to like grind your teeth or clench your teeth. And what happens is an energy builds, and something. And your mind might have no idea what you're doing, but your body does. If you do this in a group, if you do this with one other friend, and you just allow them to be, now maybe they're doing this too. And maybe this sounds totally crazy to you. So listen to this a couple times, because sometimes you hear something once and it feels crazy, and then you hear it again and you're like, oh, now I get it. So you and your friend are basically acting like you're in a loony bin. Another idea is you can take your pillow and punch your pillow. You can take a wiffle bat, like a plastic bat, and hit the couch. So you're forcing your body to have an experience that has nothing to do with your mind. Now, if you're actually upset about something, you can do this too, and it's really healthy. But if you're just looking to experiment, this is a great way to even see yourself. So I invite you to try this by yourself first. And even witnessing your own anger is a great way to start. So the major points of the importance of being seen are to validate your inner life. And when I say inner life, it's your feelings. It's all the things that you think you're hiding, but are leaking out subconsciously. So if you're feeling anxious and you try to just pretend you're happy, your anxiety leaks out, whether it's in your words or your actions, playing with hair or biting or moving your fingers or talking gossip or drinking heavily or doing drugs. And so the idea of being seen is validating your emotions so they're not so scary anymore. So I think the best way to be seen, we're so lucky. We have all this social media to be seen on. Make a live video, post a blog, share your feelings, be vulnerable, and do this in a way where you don't traumatize yourself, but take it step by step and start to show up. Start to share yourself, start to share your inner feelings. If you're an expert in business, that's great. But these days, people want to shop and buy from people who are real, who are a person. And so even in Enchanted Embodiment, which is my business, look, I'm here sharing my deepest stuff. I mean, I'm showing you this picture of myself when I'm 12. That's me being vulnerable. Now, I've done it enough times that I don't cringe at that picture anymore. It doesn't have so much fire in it. The most recent vulnerability that I shared was that I used to be a stripper, an exotic dancer. And I was also a preschool teacher and a therapist. And so there was a tremendous amount of fear that sharing that would shame myself, shame my family, put me in a bad way, make me feel like shit, all this stuff. And I did it. And I gotta say, even on this video, I've been saying exotic dancer. But the truth is, I was a stripper. And the words exotic dancer sounds a little cushy, but I was a stripper. And that is the truth. And I did it for 11 years. And so me sharing that is me being seen more fully. And now that I've said it so many times, and there was an article written on me and all this stuff, it's like, it's not such a big deal anymore. So I give you these stories because you have stuff that you don't want to share. And you have emotions that you don't want to share that you keep private. But keeping it private what you resist persists. So if you want love in your life, if you want more money in your life, if you want to receive, right? Because receiving is wonderful. And it's in harmony with giving. So if you want to receive, you have to show up and be willing to be vulnerable and to be seen. So I would love to challenge you to find a way to be seen. So maybe it's a dance class that you would never take. Maybe it's a voice lesson. Maybe it's walking around in your house creating anger energy and sharing that with a friend. Maybe it's starting a blog or doing a live video on a social media platform, and just taking into accountability, taking into consideration that it's healthy. And it's not just about being seen with your face, it's sharing, being with your emotions. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else that's important about being seen. About why? Because it makes you younger. If you hold in things that you feel like, yeah, I don't want to talk about that, you carry it on your back like a weight. And so this also goes for any kind of childhood abuse, any kind of abuse that involved shaming someone else, or you being shamed, or your power being taken away. I have candles here that aren't very safely placed. If you don't share in a safe and sacred space, these things stay with you and they weigh you down. And then you start to not believe in magic anymore. And then you start to feel like the world is happening to you. And that sucks. So that's all I have to say today about being seen. I hope to see you somewhere soon. If you want to be celebrated and you want to share where you're choosing to be seen as an inspiration from this video, please show up. I am on Facebook at Shane Coleman. Enchantress Shane is the name of the page. You can find me everywhere. Go to enchantedembodiment.com. Sign up for a 15-minute session. Let's see if we're a good fit to work together. Or there's tons of free content online on YouTube and SoundCloud and everywhere. So I look forward to connecting with you. Enchantress Shane signing off. Have a magical rest of your day.